Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome into Powerhouse Sessions with your host, Minister Sarah-Samantha. I'm so happy to be on this July 13th, 2026. Today, we will be pressing for the topic of procrastination. We have been talking about procrastination for the last video. We will start to talk about other topics as well, but we're going to give a few tips to how to handle procrastination in your life. I could very well use those tips this week, right? So, if you've ever felt overwhelmed and you feel like I have a lot on my plate, a lot of different things, not just my home life, but at work. I have a lot going on, and I'm just trying to figure out how to maneuver and how to make it all make sense. Well, today we're going to learn a few tips that will assist us in our workflow. This workflow could be at home, this workflow could be at work, this workflow could be just getting certain tasks outside of the home done as well. But we will be applying these things over the next few weeks to see what results we get. Some of them we already apply and we know that they work, and some of them are going to be reapplied to see if they are able to be of assistance in this season of our lives. Okay. So, welcome in. Welcome in. I thank you guys for joining us. We're going to try to keep this between about 30 to 45 minutes or so. And then we'll see where we can go from there. All right. It is Powerhouse Monday. All right. So, a few tips to your workflow. Um, you want to make sure, and this is something that I utilize, to keep a journal, a notebook, just something somewhere where you can always go back to the tasks at hand. It may be an agenda book, it may be a journal, it may be sticky notes if you're a sticky note person, it may be your phone. I suggest using pen and paper because when you write something, it does commit it to memory. So you have a better chance of accomplishing the goal if you are to write it down. Write it down. And I know that this works for certain because I might have a an alarm go off on my phone, which will prompt me to look at my task or let me know that I am on task. That's what I use the alarm. Okay, that's the second tip, is that to use your alarm. I use the alarm to help me stay on track and to let me know that I am on track. And sometimes it actually helps to know that it goes off right as I am either in the midst of like working towards finishing it. Sometimes I'll get started early on tasks and begin to accomplish them in a lot faster method once I've written my task down and begin to accomplish it. If it's a bigger task, the next tip outside of using your alarm clock, you can use it again to let you know that it's time to do a task and or like I do where I have it go off when I am supposed to do the task, but 9 times out of 10, I'll probably be in the middle of doing it when it goes off. And it just kind of helps me to stay on task and know how much more time I can devote to said goal, right? Or task, and writing it down. The other thing that you want to do is split up your tasks into smaller portions. Even if you're at work, it doesn't matter. It works for children, it works for adults. When you take a big project, like right now, I'm doing my summer cleaning, and I have a lot of stuff everywhere in my office, everywhere in my personal spaces. When it comes to my home space, right? My professional space is good and organized, so we thank God for that. But right now, we're doing our summer reorganization, and it is a bit overwhelming. And I like to come from a place where I can speak of what is going on or what has happened instead of just pulling information from different places to just give you. That's one thing about me that you'll always find is that I try to make sure that it does relate back to an experience so that you'll know that I've tried it, and it doesn't negate the fact that other people need to try some of these things. So if it's something that I have tried and it sounds interesting to you and you would like to try it. Even if it didn't work out for me, it just might not fit into my lifestyle. So always remember that things sometimes when you try it, it might not fit into your lifestyle, but it also may be helpful for you. So the best thing that you can do, especially as someone who has an issue with either procrastinating or becoming overwhelmed, you might be good at getting tasks done when it's not a whole lot of stuff. But when you have a whole lot of stuff to do, that's when you start to experience your procrastination, or procrastinated um, like feelings or actions. So, what we want to do is we want to bring you into a point where you will start to work through this, okay? And I want to remind you that I do counseling sessions and coaching sessions. If you'd like more information, you can go to treasuresonsoul.com and you can shoot me a line, an email, and we can sit down and figure out. If you need a session, if all you need is one session, just so that we can get you in a position of motivating you to get done with these things. So, number one, we're going to write things down. We're going to have somewhere where we can write the tasks down so that we can remember what we need to do. Number two, we're going to utilize a clock. I use my phone if it's something that I am not in home with, or I will use a either digital or analog alarm clock, whichever I have access to when I am at home, and or maybe if I'm at my office and I have access to my digital alarm clock, then I will utilize that versus using my phone so that there's no extra distractions. Okay, so that's really good for procrastinators. Limiting your distractions is going to be key. Okay, but first, before we get there, breaking your tasks and assignments down into small, biteable sessions. Okay, so you might do a 10-minute session. If you have to clean a room out, I suggest if you get overwhelmed very easily, that you do the first round of picking things up and sorting at the same time. This way, you're not mishandling things. If you know where something goes, go ahead and put it away at that time. But the first thing you want to do is make sure that you do your sorting. You know, you swept everything into one pile. If you have to sweep everything into one pile, and then go into your sorting method. And once you got everything sorted, then you can move into the next stage. If you need a break, this is a perfect time to take a break. So you may sweep everything up and get it. And sweeping up goes together with the pulling things out. Okay, so you sweep everything up, then you're going to pull everything into its own piles, and then you can take a break. Take a good 10-minute, and sometimes you might even need a 15 to 20-minute break. Take that break, come back, put up a few piles, depending on whether or not you have more than 10 piles. Okay, if you're doing a big job, then it might be more than that. But for a home, it should you should be breaking it down to no more than about four different piles. You have clothing, you have maybe you'll have your kids' toys, you may have trash, right? And then you have that pile of odds and ends, knickknacks, and whatnot. And that's usually the hardest part is putting away the knickknacks because they might have a whole bunch of different places that they need to be at. But you're going to put those clothes in the dirty basket and take them to the laundry room. Then you're going to come back and you're going to commit to that second step, which is putting the toys away, right? And then after you put the toys away, you'll come back and you'll commit to the next step, which is to take and put the trash in the trash container and take the trash out of the room. And or if it's not full, maybe you'll need it again. Next step is to start working from the top to the bottom, and then from the from the top to the bottom, or from the bottom to the top, depending on who you are. Sometimes you'll have to do one and then do the other, depending on the size of the mess. So you may work from the top to the bottom, sweep everything up, clean it up, and then have to go back and work from the bottom to the top. It just really depends on the type of person you are. It kind of doesn't make sense, but sometimes you have jobs where you make a mess trying to clean up the mess. And so that's what takes people a lot of time is cleaning up the mess they made while they were trying to clean up the mess. So it's like that's why you want to break it down into smaller chunks, because you're putting away certain items, and then when you go over to a certain item, you might find, if you're doing a deep clean, you might find that the drawer that you're going to go put the pins into actually needs to be cleaned out. So if you've already started from the top and you've cleaned all of your surfaces and you swept everything up, did your piles, put everything away, came and found out, oh, this drawer needs to be cleaned. Then you would bring your trash container over to your destination. You would begin to clean that drawer out and, dust it out, put everything back, and that would be a task in itself in the entire goal of cleaning the room. Okay, so you break those small pieces down, and sometimes you'll have to start from the top to get everything squared away and then go back and start again, just to make sure that those certain sections are organized correctly. So we'll start to talk about more of different ways that you'll be able to organize yourself and organize how you clean. A system is very important. A lot of people, they fall off because they don't have a system. When I get up and do my videos, it's because I have a schedule. Before, when I, like in the very beginning of doing my videos, I would be doing videos back to back to back to back. I'd always be on, like back in the when I really like first started back in the hold on, back in like 2019, in that area where everybody started doing a lot of online stuff because of COVID. Like I was on all the time. But now my life has changed. I have a lot going on, and businesses to run and whatnot. And so, with all of that being said, now I have to organize my schedule, and it can get out of whack sometimes because I'm doing a lot of different things. Ministry has you doing a lot of different things. Personal life has you doing a lot of different things. Sometimes you stay up late. Sometimes, you wake up tired. You have to be able to get through those struggles. So here we're going to motivate you to get through those struggles, because I need you to know that I'm just like everybody else. You're just like everybody else. And we need a little bit of help. So breaking those tasks down into smaller, more manageable tasks really helps, especially those people who claim that they have like attention deficit disorder. um, some people don't actually have attention deficit disorder. Now, I am not a medical. I don't have a. I am not a medical therapist, so I cannot tell you whether or not, I can't diagnose whether or not you have that issue. You would have to go to a psychologist or psychiatrist to deal in that manner. But what I will say is that there are a lot of people who say they have attention deficit disorder when really they're just overwhelmed, and they don't have a system for organization. They don't have a system for getting things done. And they just get overwhelmed very easily. And so the people, when you start to put yourself in a category that you don't belong, sometimes it can make it very hard for you to deal with the actual issue. Those who did not grow up with structure, they will experience overwhelmness when it comes to completing tasks, because they don't have that foundation of structure. And so you have to begin to build it. Not every family is raised the same. And this is why we don't take on things that don't belong to us. We figure out what the issue is and we attack that, or we complete the goal of handling that situation, so that we are not running around adding things to ourselves that does not belong to us. Okay, so then there is another tip I'd like to give, and that is um, that is making sure that you keep your distractions down to a limit. Okay, so maybe in the middle of cleaning, sister so and so comes over, or cousin so and so, or your sister, brother, somebody, your parent comes over and they want to chit chat while you're trying to finish the goal. Even when it comes to phone calls, you need to make sure that you keep your timeline, you add that into your breaks. Okay. So they may come over and you'll say, hey, right now I'm in the middle of a task. Go ahead and have a seat. Give me a minute. Go in, try to do the best you can to finish up the task. I learned something while I was in the medical field, still kind of am, but um, when I first began to be in the medical field, I had a instructor tell me, don't stop what you're doing to go and do, help somebody or talk to somebody. You tell them, give me a moment, finish your task, complete it, and then you go and you assist. But you never stop what you're doing. So when you have someone who comes in to that is inadvertently an interruption to the task you were trying to complete, ask them to give you a moment. Do your best to finish up as much as you can for the time frame, and then add in your visit with your break. Treat it just like that, like it's a break. Okay, I got 20 minutes. We can conversate and chill. Okay, woo, 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 woo. Then, and make sure that you set your alarm clock to remind you, even though in your mind you'll be like, okay, it's been 20 minutes, you'll get up and you'll go for most people. But some people need that alarm because if you're like me, sometimes you be really long winded and start talking to people for long periods of time. And so I've also had to apply that, like, okay, I've got a few minutes to chit chat, and now I have to get back to doing what I got to do. Right. And no, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing to see what you need unless it's something that is not a full on, task that I need to complete. But every one of my tasks needs to be done. And sometimes people can look at you like you're odd or weird because you don't subscribe to breaking your concentration or breaking what you're trying to get done to entertain. And we have to understand that conversating with people outside of getting a task done is entertainment. Okay, it's a part of entertainment. It's not just, oh, it's not like a movie entertainment, but it is a distraction. We always use that distraction word, and sometimes distraction can be a big word for something as simple as this is entertainment. When you look at it as entertainment versus a distraction, then you look at it as something that can wait. If it's a distraction, sometimes the distraction can actually be something serious. Sometimes the distraction is not anything serious, And so, with that distraction, if it's serious, that means that you absolutely have to stop doing what you're doing to go and take care of it. But if it's not serious, then you can continue finishing up your task and you have the opportunity to choose whether or not you need to deal with that distraction. Okay. But if you use the word entertainment, we know that serious things are not entertainment, that they need to be done. We know that the extracurricular things like watching TV, playing around with your music versus you actually getting to the task, being on the phone, and not getting the task done, that is a entertainment distraction. And you want to push that entertainment distraction out of the way, and you want to set that boundary. When you are working on procrastination, changing procrastination to productivity, you want to keep in mind that you have to have boundaries. The reason why you're breaking these tasks up is not to just make it easier to get the goal accomplished. It is to set a boundary. This is why you have breaks with certain times. The break for the 5 minute break, that's called a boundary, right? So you saying I have to stay within this time frame. That's a boundary. When you're at work and you take your 30-minute break, that 30-minute break is a boundary between you doing your work and you taking a deep breath, right? And then after that 30 minutes is done, you clock back in, or you go back in, or you go back to doing your actual work, right? So we make sure that we utilize that boundary in every area of our lives. This is why people say, oh, my people battery is dead. That's because sometimes you're overlooking the fact that you need that boundary of a break. If you have small breaks, you'll do a lot better with dealing with certain people if you're one that gets overwhelmed very quickly. I mean, personally, when I'm doing something, I like to complete my full task, and I've always been this way. I like to complete the full task and then I take a break, right? So if my work isn't done, I feel like I have to get that done and then I can take a break. Why? Because I understand the strength of having that boundary of I get this done first and then I get to go and relax because I'm one of those people where I like sometimes, not all the time, but if I'm at home, I like my entertainment distractions. And so since I know that I'm privy to an entertainment distraction, hallelujah, I have to make sure that I hold those boundaries of time restraint and make sure that I am getting things done because just like anybody else, I could get lost in doom scrolling if hopefully the Lord won't allow that, but you get lost in doom scrolling, or you get to watching a movie and start getting good, and then you're comfortable in your seat and you really don't want to get up. So now you've lost all of your motivation to get the task done. No, keep that shut off. Music for some people, it can become an entertainment distraction, and you won't get anything done. Some people just need to either clean to natural sounds, or you just need to clean or do your tasks to nothing at all, because just having that stimulation is going to take you somewhere else. And so you want to make sure that you are providing for yourself the best atmosphere to get the job done, right? Okay, so I'm so glad to have brought these tips to you. Remember, we're going to write down our tasks. We're going to break it down into small portions. We are going to do our different levels, starting from the top to the bottom, or from the bottom to the top, and then we'll go back and we'll do the same thing, starting from the top to the bottom, or the bottom to the top, when we are organizing and putting things away and realizing we need to clean other things up. We are limiting our entertainment distractions. If we can, we will absolutely get rid of the entertainment distractions. Period. We are utilizing our breaks, and we're making sure to not stop our task for those interruptions, but finishing the task and then utilizing those breaks where we need to. I hope that this was helpful. I do hope that you guys will come back for another powerhouse. We will be switching right now into motivation. You guys, I just want somebody out there to know that you got this. You got this, bruh. You got this, sis. You can accomplish your goals with less stress. You are an amazing person. You know that everything that you do is is another step closer to you accomplishing your bigger goals. Because if you can get a handle on doing the stuff that is in secret, when you get ready to go out into the world with whatever purpose that God has given you, those skills will follow you. And you'll be looked at as someone who is actually able to do the work. That's what we're about. We're about doing the work. I always say in a lot of my videos, if you just do the work, if you hold yourself accountable and you do the work, that's the greatest. Hallelujah. That is the greatest motivation that you could ever have. Do the inside work. And some of that inside work is knowing that you need to clean a room, and holding yourself accountable and using certain tools to get that job done, honey. Get it done, because once you get it done, you will feel so motivated. You'll probably move on to doing other tasks as well. So remember, like when we complete something, I know that a lot of times we want to stop and we want to celebrate, but part of the celebration is, yes, I accomplished the task, but what's next? If you can get yourself into a what's next, instead of, oh, I got that done, I can go to sleep now, I don't got to do nothing else. No, what's next? That's where you want to be at. What's next? What else can I accomplish in this time frame? And you'll be surprised at what you can accomplish when you just get over that hump and accomplish that first goal. It's gonna skyrocket you. You will be propelled. Hallelujah. Your trajectory, hallelujah, will change right after you get done with that goal. It's like jumping over hurdles, right? After you jump over that hurdle, you're running, you pick up speed and you start jumping over other hurdles, and then by the time you look up, you've actually become the first one to cross the finish line. So that's where you want to be at in your life. Do you want to cross this finish line of life? Do you want to make sure that your entire life is motivated and exciting? This is how you accept and receive motivation. You can't motivate a person who is bound to laziness, but the person who realizes that laziness has had them bound and they have allowed God to begin to remove that, then they can be motivated to a better. But people who are comfortable in that, they'll take some of the tools, they'll use them, but they'll always still be trying to accomplish the goal. But if you take someone who God has removed that, hallelujah, and He is teaching them how to do, and they start applying these skills, you will be a champion. You will be a champion. And that is where we want to be. We want to be champions. We want to be the first to cross the finish line. We want to be handling things in a not just a professional manner, but personally, we want to handle things in a adult manner. And sometimes it does take work. We're not here to judge you on the fact, and compare you to anyone else, because everyone has their own lives. But bump what everybody else thinks. As long as you're doing the inside work and you make it happen, that's what's honorable. That's what's honorable. So go and be blessed. Remember, pull up. You're flying too low. This is missile season. Have a great one and go and be blessed.